Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining for today's Dana Meets segment. First one in my baby girl's nursery, which is very fitting for today's interviewee. I have Zamina Sunderji-Karim, the founder of femtech startup Mevi. So, Zamina, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm super excited to have this chat with you, and I'm actually super excited about your startup. So, first of all, tell me, what exactly is a femtech?
Femtech is a niche within technology startups dedicated to serving families and particularly dedicated to the care economy. So anything to do with childcare, caring for families' needs. A lot of companies do things that serve kind of the sandwich generation that we're in of caring for children and caring for the elderly. So anything that can any technology, software technology that can be used to support families, femtech generally sits in.
Amazing. It's the first time I actually hear that term. So when you told me, I was like, interesting. But there is a whole new suite of tech startups that are popping up that are all about making our lives a little bit easier and our family life easier, right? So
yeah.
Your startup fits right in that. So how did you come up with the idea? What was the journey that basically led you to where you are now?
Yeah, it was a long one, a difficult one. I had a pandemic baby in 2021, and she was my first child, and I struggled immensely with the birth of her. I was, up until then, a very high achieving, career driven woman. Got a lot of the reinforcement that I needed around just life, all of the accolades, all of that through my career. And then I had my daughter, and everything that I had done up until that point was no longer working. It wasn't like I could just keep trying harder at something and eventually fix the problem, build the product, hit the marketing KPI. It was really difficult. I struggled with postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety, but I was undiagnosed for a very long time, and that was partly my fault, partly the system's fault. But I struggled for over a year, and through that time, when I started to feel a little bit better, I was reflecting on the time that I went through, and I started to understand what was happening, why I struggled. And then I dove into academia, books, to try to understand whether what I went through was something that other women also went through. And I learned absolutely yes. I ended up interviewing hundreds of people from all over the world, new parents, and ultimately came to this insight around the fact that a lot of people are struggling with the birth of their children because they are trying to do it themselves. We used to have kids in the context of villages for hundreds of thousands of years, and that notion of a village has so quickly eroded. But we're still having kids, and we're trying to do more with less resources than ever before. And so that's kind of one thing that we hold true. And then the other thing is around this idea of independence, this idea of individualism, this idea that you can do anything that you set your mind to. And that works so much when you're just a career person, maybe before you have a family. But once you have a family, that really changes. And that's something that a lot of new parents don't really know. You just don't know what you don't know. So I started to pick up on these patterns and realize that a lot of the common struggles that I was hearing, as well as my own struggle, were rooted in some of these problems. And so I decided to try to fix it myself.
I love
Very
that.
ambitious thing to do.
It is an ambitious thing to do, but I mean, that's who you are at the core too. So once we have kids, I think that's the struggle, and that's where it resonates with me a lot, because I'm a new mom. I'm your type A overachiever, kind of like you. And once you have a kid, you are like, oh my God, where is the old me? How am I going to stay the old me with this new circumstance, this new little being that I'm taking care of? And it's extremely hard. And we do try to do it all. Asking for help, we feel almost ashamed to ask for help. But especially in North America, where we don't have this notion of a village anymore, you're expected to do it all alone. And if you ask for help, it's almost we feel like it's some sort of failure, but it's not. And you're trying to normalize asking for help, right?
Yeah, reduce the shame, normalize it, just make it easier for people to realize that they have villages that they have a community of people that they can access. Everyone's village looks different.
Yeah.
Everyone's relationship with their parents and their in-laws and whomever they have in their life is different, and that's okay. But, it's also this idea of like the mental load, which you're now experiencing. Got a million things running through your head, a to-do list for your child, a to-do list for yourself, a to-do list for your family, a to-do list for your partner relationship, if you have a partner, and all of that while trying to maintain a career and all these other things. And so one of the secondary sort of objectives that has grown out of Mevi over the last 6 months has been to make the invisible load visible. So to take all the stuff that you've got in your mind as a primary parent or a parent in general and putting that into the app and being able to share that load, not only with your partner, but among your chosen village, whoever that ultimately ends up being. So Mevi is for you if you just want to use it solo, just to get a bit of like relief. Mevi is for you if you want to use it with your partner. Mevi is for you if you want to use it with your village. But it's really this idea of like helping you organize, manage, find a way to find some calm amongst all of the chaos that you have going on in your life as a working parent in 2024 and beyond.
So if you were to simplify it for me, for anyone who's watching, so what is Mevi? What can we do with Mevi? Like, why should we, get Mevi, download it once it launches?
So Mevi is a app where you can organize, manage, and delegate all of your family to-dos in one central place.
Oh, amazing.
That's it. And if you want to, like I said, if you want to delegate to your village, if you have people that are coming into your home to support you as a housekeeper, a doula, a midwife, a nanny, you can use Mevi with them. You can also just use Mevi with friends and family, or you can just use it with yourself and your partner. It's totally up to you, but it's really a place to be able to streamline your family operations. And we exist specifically for families that are in the postpartum period, that have brand new children, because that is such a big jump in terms of the mental load. It is such a big jump in terms of like what you don't know and all of these new things that you're managing. And we think that if we can support families through the postpartum period, we can help to improve their well-being in the long term.
I wish Mevi was around 3 months ago when I had Juliana, to be honest. I think it would have made the first few weeks more manageable, because it's indeed, I think, the toughest part of making that transition from being, completely independent to suddenly having a little dependent being on you. So it's definitely for the postpartum period. It's for men and women. It's for families.
It's for families, yeah, and it's for postpartum and beyond. So the idea being like, if you can find a bit of calm, through the postpartum period, and it ends up benefiting you, you can continue to use it as your family grows, as your children get older, and we can continue to build the product in a way that serves families that have kids of all ages.
I love that. So how are people reacting when you tell them about Mevi?
What you just said. I wish I had this. I wish I had this. I wish I had it. Most parents I talk to are like, this is amazing. I needed it yesterday. Like, when are you coming? And that's a really, really nice thing to hear. But also every family is different and what they're going through is really different. And so we're trying to do as a new company is to not make assumptions about what people are going to need, and just to create this like container where families can then imprint their unique style and their unique kind of family dynamics into the app, and find a way to make it work for them. So although, almost everyone I've spoken to has said like, I wish this was here, the truth will really like be in the pudding once it is here and families are able to actually use it and make sense of it.
Oh, amazing. So how has the journey been so far for you, being a mom entrepreneur, yourself, working, having a child, and launching this femtech startup? How has it been for you?
So I actually have a blog. It's called Raising Giants. I know I haven't launched it yet. I've been doing all of the content collection and interviewing before we launch, because it's gonna, you know how these things are. They require a lot of maintenance, and I wanted to make sure that I had a good, content library before we launched. And I interviewed someone, her name is Anastasia, and she said to me, building a business is not about building a business. And truer words to me have never been spoken, because for me, the process of building Mevi has been so much more than Mevi. It's been a healing journey for me to go through a process of educating myself around what I went through, why I went through it, and how to help potentially other people not go through it in the future. That feels really good. It's also like, it's so much more than the product. You get to connect with families, understand their struggles. You get to kind of unpack these like broader societal systems that have, impacted us and impact our day-to-day. There's like so much more to building Mevi than just like tinkering on the product and doing the marketing for it every day. So it's been a healing journey for me largely in the last 6 to 10 months, I would say. But lots of ups, lots of downs.
Yeah.
Lots of downs.
What has been the most challenging part, you would say?
The most challenging part has been getting the technology launched. So I've had to kiss a lot of frogs before finding our prince, in terms of like who's ultimately going to support us in delivering the product and bringing it to market.
In terms of developers, you mean?
In terms of developers, in terms of people who can like support in that journey. There's like designers and developers and different product people that you ultimately need to work with to bring a product like this to market. And when you're just getting started, again, you don't know what you don't know. And so you go down the path of potentially maybe what feels like least resistance, only to find that it was like a waste of your time and money. And so I had done that a few times, but in going through those situations, I figured out what it was that I did need, what it was that I didn't need, and was able to like refine my vision as well. So, I mean, in tech world, to take 10 months to bring a product to market is a long time. But for me, it's felt really fast because I'm doing all of this. I'm learning a lot about the industry, the space, what it means to be a technology founder. And then I'm also like, I have a family. Being able to balance all of that is like important to me. So it has gone fast, but in tech terms.
10 months is not that long. Trust me, in big organizations, it takes often a lot longer to get things launched, and you have experts for every single thing, and you have a budget backing you. So I say props to you for being able to launch a software product in 10 months, honestly. So bravo. And also, we never touch upon it, but what is your background for those who might be wondering? So what were you doing before being an entrepreneur?
Well, I'd like to think I've always been entrepreneurial. My professional sort of career for the last decade or so has been in growth marketing. So I worked agency side for a sort of mid-sized agency, a paid media agency. So kind of the person behind the screen that makes Facebook, Instagram, TikTok advertisements for big brands. And I worked mostly on the D2C side. So I worked with companies like Uber, Masterclass, Flamingo Estate, Aritzia. So I'd spent a lot of time kind of studying consumers and understanding their behaviors. And before that, I actually was a software developer. For a few years. I taught myself Ruby on Rails like 15 years ago, did a boot camp, but it was like, it's one of those muscles that atrophies if you don't use it. So when I left tech and went into marketing, it wasn't something that like, I couldn't just like build my own app. That would have been, it would have taken me a lot longer to build this thing. So, but I do kind of understand the tech space at a high level, which is a really nice kind of added benefit.
Of course, a skill that is super useful, I think, when launching your own app. Amazing.
Totally.
So when can we expect to be able to, use Mevi?
Yeah, hopefully at the very beginning of October.
October. Perfect. October 2024. Perfect.
October 2024. That's what we're working towards. You'll be able to find it in the App Store on the Apple App Store, and then hopefully on Android soon after. But yeah.
So in the meantime, what can people do if they want to find out and stay up to date about any latest developments or when you're going to go live? Is there a wait list or something?
There absolutely is, yes. So the wait list is on getmevi.com, GETMEVI.com. By the way, Mevi is a play on words. So Mevi is like mental load and village together.
I initially thought, remember, it was me and my village.
Yeah, I mean, that's mine too. I think that's a really cute one as well. So whatever you want it to be, it can be.
I love the
that
name.
was the intention. So it's getmevi.com. You can join the waitlist. And then you can also follow us on Instagram at getmevi. We are starting to kind of build a following, and I share a lot about like my story and
my own personal journey. Yes, I see
yeah,
that.
my own
Very relatable.
Yeah, my own personal journey with my daughter, my relationship, kind of like how we got out of the trenches in that first year, different things. So yeah, it's a good place to kind of learn not only about me, but about the product and kind of how we're bringing this thing to life.
That's super exciting. Anything else you'd like to share with us?
No, I think that's it.
So what is your ultimate why in all of this? So once you launch, what would happen and make you feel really good about the launch of Mevi?
Honestly, I think people just saying like, oh my God, this has helped me with X. We did a ton of user testing in the last version that we launched privately. And one of the big pieces of really positive feedback that I got was like, this is going to be such a game changer in helping my husband understand what I do every day, or like why I'm so stressed out. And that would be a huge win in my mind, because that in and of itself is a big stressor for a lot of families and a lot of relationships in the first year after having a child, whether it's your first, second, or fifth. I do think that like having both people be on the same team, on the same page, and share that load is really, really important. And so if Mevi can be a conduit to that, that would be really amazing. I think if Mevi was a place where it made it more accessible for people to be able to like lean on their village in a way that like reduced friction and barriers, that would also be really amazing. But ultimately, the long-term goal of Mevi is to really, really impact like maternal mental health. Like really, that's the goal long-term. So obviously it's going to be a journey to get there. But that was really what started this. And so that's what I'd love to see in the long term. But in the short term, just that feedback around like, this is great, this is helpful, that would be amazing.
Well, I'm sure you're going to hear a lot of that. I'm personally super looking forward to the launch in October. So stay tuned, everyone. Thank you so much, Zamina, for taking the time to chat with me, to share your journey and all about Mevi. So I'm looking forward, and I'm definitely on your wait list. That's for sure.
Awesome. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.